Xin chao, everybody. How you doing today? Boston boy coming to you here from my home in Saigon, Vietnam. Today we're going to show you how to make a super popular dish here, Bo Kho, or Vietnamese beef stew. Real simple to make. First time I'm ever making it on my own, but Cham Cham is right here to back me up, slap me upside the head if I'm doing it wrong. And first we'll lay out the ingredients for you. So here we have some stew meat. Beef. We're going with the beef, which is traditional for this dish, but I guess you could use some pork. We have about a half a kilo, so just over a pound of beef. And the common vegetables for this dish are real simple. We got potato, carrot. You want big chunks. You can even go a little bigger than that if you want to. I've seen some restaurants where you basically get a half a carrot in the dish. And we got some nice lemongrass here. That's a must for this dish. And we got a little bit of sugar. This here is an optional. This is dried chili powder. And here you're gonna go in, you're gonna buy the beef, and they're gonna ask you right away, do you want the Bo Kho spice? You'll find it in markets all over the place in a dry powdered form. I did a little research, I tasted this. I can tell you that you have some oil, just vegetable oil. You have a little bit of chili powder. You have a little bit of paprika. There is some star anise in there. There's some clove in there. Probably a pinch of cinnamon, I'd say. And some other things I've seen online, some recipes call for ginger. So if you're in a bind, you can't find something, a great substitute is simple Chinese 5-spice. So we're gonna go with this whole bag here. It's about a half a cup or so of spice. So again, spice, you can change it up, you can add a little bit. Rule of thumb in cooking, you can always add more, you can't take it back out, so go light and add as you want to. And here we have, I don't know the Vietnamese name for it, either this Cham Cham, but I did taste it. It is the equivalent of a bay leaf. So you're gonna want 2 or 3 bay leaves, some simple salt, again your sugar. There's your coconut water is what's different from a beef stew at home. So coconut water is available all over the place here, real cheap. This is probably 90 cents fresh. They crack it right there for you. That's awesome. You can use water. I know you can get coconut water in most supermarkets now. This is also going to help bring a little acid to the dish to help break down the meat. Traditionally, you can add, not traditionally, I should say, you can add a tablespoon of tomato paste in this dish if you want to. Adds a little bit of that color, a little bit of sweetness. And with tough meat, you always want a little bit of acid to help break that food down, that meat down. So that is another option, but we have the coconut water. I would definitely use the tomato paste if you're using regular water. After the dish is done, traditional garnish here, we have basil, and we have the Vietnamese cilantro. We have some green onion here, so you can go scallion or chive. And a little bit of parsley. So these are pretty common. You'll get these with a dish of pho as well. You also, some thinly sliced white onion would be good with this. Of course, the classic you gotta have this is the fried shallot. We'll put a bunch of that on top of the Bo Kho. Also bean sprouts, or I've seen that served with Bo Kho as well as the pho. So, and 2 ways people really eat this. There's actually 3. One would be just simply over rice. You could do it over potato. Rice noodle, bun, as it's known here. Bo Kho with the bun in a big bowl, or in a smaller bowl with, you guessed it, the French bread or whatever your favorite bread is. So we're gonna get right into this now and show you how to make this, and hope you enjoy it. Hello. All right, so first we're gonna do here, we're gonna take this Bo Kho spice. This one does happen to be in oil. Seen it many times, it's dry powder. So you can just add a little bit of oil to it with your dry powder mix. This is about a half a cup. Again, this is definitely star anise in there. I can see it right there. Paprika, clove, cinnamon. You don't have all that, don't want to go out and buy all that. Get yourself some Chinese 5-spice. It's like with Mexican food, cumin makes everything taste Mexican. Chinese 5-spice makes everything taste Asian. Sorry, but true. So we're gonna add that in there. So you're going to want to do this about an hour ahead of cooking. It's just going to marinate the meat a little bit. Got a little bit of sugar. We're going to add a little bit of salt. You can always adjust that later on. Remember, you can always add more. You cannot take it back out. This is an option. It depends how spicy you like it. We're just going to go with a little bit. You use fresh chili. This is dried chili powder. So we'll spice up my life a little bit. And then we're going to toss bay leaf right in here. Or, I really got to find out the name for it, but it is bay leaf. And we're going to just mix this up. Yeah, nice red color. Again, if you're not using the coconut water, I would definitely toss in a good hefty tablespoon of tomato paste in there with the meat. That helps break down the tough fibers. You definitely want any kind of stew, you go with cheap meat. In French cooking, they use wine, beef bourguignon, beef burgundy. At home, some people use a little bit of wine in their beef stew. Definitely a little bit of tomato paste, at least in my family's recipe. And that goes to color and breaks down those fibers, that acid product. So that's, am I missing anything, Cham Cham, to marinate the meat? No? So you can do this the night before. You can do it, give it at least an hour ahead. Let that sit, wrap it up, put it in the fridge if you want to. Let it sit here on the counter. We're gonna do that, let it do that. It's gonna do its thing right here, and we'll be back to show you how to put this all together. All right, we're back with our Bo Kho recipe here. So this has been marinating a little over an hour. See, there's star anise in here. So since this was in oil already, we really don't need to add much, or if any, to the pot. If you get a dry spice or you're using Chinese 5 spice, then you're gonna want a little bit of oil in there. You're gonna go medium heat here. You don't want to scorch anything too bad. And just always be careful when you got that hot oil. Oh yeah, love that sound, love that sound. Right away, stand back, you're gonna get some spices right up the nose. And they can't gag you. Woo! So again, we have this on medium heat. We're just gonna let this sizzle up a little bit. Again, this is like, at home you wash your beef in flour, salt and pepper. We don't use any pepper in this dish here because of the chili powder that we use. Again, you can use whole chilies. If you want to light up your life, you can dump whatever you want in there for the heat, Also, we don't use flour here in this dish. You can thicken your Bo Kho a little bit if you want to. So if you feel so inclined to, there's dry chili there, to toss it in flour, go for it, knock yourself out. Or you can also thicken it up with a little cornstarch slurry at the end. We can talk about that later. Real simple. But traditionally, this is not a thick stew here. I like my beef stew at home a little thicker, but this is not home, so. Alright, so we're gonna just put the lid on that for a little bit. We're gonna let this cook, 5, 6, 7 minutes. Let that cook down just a little bit. Get those flavors going in there, get it all married together, get delicious. That's what it's doing right now in this pot. It's like, what's it saying to me? Delicious. Ah, yeah. It smells so freaking good. Alright, we'll be back in a few minutes. Alright, so we're back here. This has been cooking down a little bit. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, man, I wish you could smell it. The spices are amazing. Here, I'll help you out there a little bit, Jen. Look at that. The color in that, so nice. Again, that would come from either, you can add paprika, or a little bit of tomato paste. You definitely want that color. And now we're gonna go in, this has been cooking about 10 minutes. We're gonna go in, we got about a quart of coconut water here. Again, at home, you can use regular water, but I highly recommend spend a couple of bucks. Get the coconut water, it makes all the difference. Okay, now we're gonna let this, again, I said this dish is super easy. We can let this cook a little bit? No? We can put that right in now? I thought we had to cook a little bit. Alright, well, Cham's telling me to just dump everything in, but the chef in me is like, no, this needs to come up to a boil. I can't help myself. So anyway, the lemongrass goes in now. Oh, okay, misunderstanding here. So at this point, you want to put the lemongrass in. That's right, just the whole stalks. This is one of these dishes that, you know, you kind of pick around the lemongrass as you eat it. It's very fibrous. But that's okay, it's part of the experience. A little different, changes it up from your regular beef stew or your beef burgundy. So that's always nice. And these are actually kind of, once these will get soft too, the lemongrass, and they're kind of nice to chew on a little bit when you're eating the dish. Okay, so we're gonna let that come up to a boil, and we're gonna turn the heat down a little bit to low. And we're just gonna let it cook for about an hour until the meat starts to get a little bit tender. It doesn't have to be fully cooked yet. You don't want it falling apart at that point. And let's focus on the root vegetables here. Again, this dish, very basic. You got your potato and your carrot. Feel free to leave the carrots a little bit bigger if you want to. Again, you can add, you know, if you want to change it up, put whatever you want in there. There are no rules. You could add some nice onion in there. You could add mushroom in there. But traditionally, in every restaurant I've had Bo Kho in, every time somebody's made it for me, it's these two. So pretty simple. And that's about it. Again, for now, this is gonna cook. We're gonna let it give about an hour, depending how much meat you got in there. Let's just turn that way down now. And we'll be back to show you the rest. Back. Well, it's been about an hour, so we're gonna, whoa. All right, I'm back now. That just smells so good. So this is our Bo Kho. It's been simmering away for about an hour with the lemongrass and those spices. Yeah. It smells so nice. Coconut water in there. So we're just gonna give it a little taste, see if we have to adjust the seasoning a little bit. I gotta say, I think that's pretty perfect right now. We might add some more salt at the end. It's got nice sweetness, but not too much. So we're gonna add our root vegetable now, our potato and our carrot. We are gonna add just a little bit more water. You can use at this point, because you did have the coconut water in there. So if you're out of coconut water, you can add a little bit of regular water because you have that coconut water flavor in there. It's just the liquid evaporated out, so it's all good. If you have more coconut water, that's fine too. So again, if you want a little bit more spice in there at that point, a little bit more salt, a little bit more sugar, you can add a little bit more. But then at the end, we're going to taste one more time before you serve it, that final adjustment of the seasoning. And it's just, you know, it's that easy. This is going to cook now. We're going to turn this heat back up, get the temperature back up, and then of course we'll turn it back down to a simmer and just let it cook away like your regular beef stew. And am I missing anything in there, Champ? Spices or anything? That's it, huh?
That's it.
It really is that easy. It's that easy. So we'll come back probably another hour. So it doesn't really take any longer to cook than any traditional beef stew in America or beef burgundy. So we'll be back in a little bit. We'll dish this up for you, show you how to garnish it with the traditional herbs, and get your ingredients together. You know you're going to want to make this. Talk to you in an hour. Alright, so we're back with our Bo Kho. It's pretty much all done here now. Wow, look at that. I really wish you could smell that. So that actually only took about a half hour. Depends how tender you want your meat, you know. This could go a little bit longer, but look at that. It's already breaking apart with my fingers. You don't want to go too long because then you just end up with like shredded meat. So everything is nice and fork tender in there. We're going to go in for just a little bit of taste. Do that final seasoning adjustment. Yeah, we're gonna go with just a little bit more salt in there. I think the spice is good. Cham doesn't like hers too spicy, so it wouldn't hurt me at all, but again, she doesn't really care for it. And again, it is a soup here. It's a stew, but it's really, to me, it's a soup because of the consistency of the broth. Myself, I would thicken this up. A little cornstarch slurry. It would be the easiest if you forgot to or did not put flour on your meat before you browned it. Cornstarch slurry, you just take a little bit of water. You can use the coconut water. For this, you want to put maybe a teaspoon of cornstarch in with that, and just make it so the consistency of heavy cream, really. And you just want to slowly put that in there, and it will thicken it up. Just go a little bit. Again, you can't take it back out, so you don't want to end up with, you know, like mud. You just want to thicken it up a little bit if you're so inclined. All right, well, we're gonna dish some of this up, garnish it up for you, and dive in. So we got a bowl here. Again, this is served different ways. A big bowl like this would usually have rice noodle on the bottom, a bun, as it's called here. A smaller bowl would be served with a baguette or banh mi, as they call it here. So it's carrot. Again, I really like when the places do the big pieces of carrot. Like half carrot, a quarter carrot. It's really nice. Alright, so come over here. In Vietnam, whenever you go out for soup, again, pho, many soups, most of the soups, you're gonna have a basket beside you, and it's gonna have basil, it's gonna have different herbs, usually the Vietnamese cilantro or coriander, which we have some of that in here. You'll have bean sprouts, again, thin sliced white onion could go nice on here. You wanna put a little bit more heat in your life, a little more chili on there. Of course, the ever popular, you gotta have this. This is a must, as much as you want. Fried shallot, man. Fried shallot smells so good. So good. Again, this dish here too, I prefer it eaten next day, like most stews. But you can dive right in, it's just as good, really, I guess. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, Bo Kho. Oh yeah, we got the baguette here, because we did not do the bun, the rice noodle. So, you know, you're at a restaurant, you order this, they'll give you 2 or 3 bun, the sub-size French bread, really crispy on the outside, like pillows on the inside. So, and you'll use that, sop it up, just like at home. You know, you get your beef stew, you get your bread. Oh, so good. So good. So there is your very simple Vietnamese beef stew, Bo Kho. Again, you can play with the recipe. Try it over some bun, rice noodle. Change it up. It's very delicious. Add different vegetables if you like. No rules. Do try and get the coconut water. It makes all the difference. So get out there. If you have any questions, just send me a comment. All right, xin chào everybody. So I hope you enjoyed that Bo Kho recipe. Now we're going to show you how to make some Vietnamese fried rice. Cham Cham actually loves my fried rice. I don't know what's so Vietnamese about it, I just make it. So we're going to make some pork fried rice for you today. So we got right here, I'd say that's about 10-12 ounces of pork loin. You can use whatever cut you like, but that works perfect for this. I go with a small cube, leave some fat on there, you're going to want that flavor. And you can use whatever you want for vegetables. Right now today I have carrot, I have onion, I have green bean. That's what I'm using for veg. Sometimes I just use frozen veg, it has a little corn in it. You can use the sugar snap peas, whatever you'd like, whatever you have. Your rice, I always like to cook my rice a day ahead. Let it sit around, I put it back in the fridge. You're gonna want it to dry out. The worst thing you can do for fried rice, at least to me, is boil it, throw it in a pan and make fried rice. You get a bunch of mush. It's no good. You want the starches to come back in this. You put this in your mouth right now, it's almost like it's raw, but it's not. Then I also use some egg. I pre-cook some egg. I actually just do this, 2 eggs in the microwave. That's a nice little garnish in the rice. I use a little lemongrass, a little garlic. And back here, these are some seasonings I use. I found, whoops, making a mess. Tikka. It's a marinade, a dry marinade for a pork dish here. I use it in my pork fried rice. Again, now for at home, you can use a little fish sauce, a little sugar, a touch of soy sauce. You can go out and find yourself some pork base, chicken base, the powdered type. I try and stay away from any liquids with my fried rice. I don't want it to, continue to cook where it gets soft and mushy. There's nothing worse than mushy fried rice. Okay, so we're gonna go over here. You're gonna have yourself a fairly hot pan, medium high heat to start off with. I'll turn this up a little bit. Cham Cham's gonna take over the photography here, and we'll get into this. It's still going, dear. All right. So you got to be a little careful. The pan's a little hot. So you want a good amount of oil. It is, after all, fried rice. So this is about a half a cup of what I use vegetable oil here. Again, anytime you're adding anything cool, moist to hot oil, watch yourself, okay? Get that right in there. I'm gonna turn that heat up a little bit. Really get that going. It smells good already. I have nothing in there but pork and oil. Nothing better than the smell of pork cooking. Pork fat is life. Alright. Feel free to use any kind of, you can do this for chicken, pork, you can do that. House special, one thing we make this ahead. I make it about every 2 weeks. I make enough for 5-6 days and just pick on it. So I try not to use seafood in it unless you're eating it that day or next day, because of course the seafood will turn bad real fast and ruin your whole rice dish. So again, pork, chicken, pork. You could do a beef, add some mushroom if you like. Again, there's very few rules in cooking. There's a lot of rules in baking. Cooking, not so much. All right, we're going to go in with our onion. We're just going to let this cook down a little bit, so we'll be right back. Just let these onions sweat out a little bit, get a little translucent. Now we're going to go in with some garlic. Some people like to add the garlic first with the oil. I prefer to be on the safe side. If you burn the garlic, squash the garlic, throw everything else, start again. So we're just going to give it a little. If you want more garlic, you go more garlic. It's all good. And then, excuse me, Cham Cham, I also like to go with my fried rice a little bit of chopped lemongrass. If you don't have that at home, you can substitute with just a little lemon zest. You don't want to go too much though, especially if you're using the lemon zest, because you don't want to bite into your fried rice and go, whoa, lemon! You just want it to enhance all those other flavors. That's really the key to good cooking. You don't want any one spice or herb really screaming at you. You want them to meld together, make one harmonious dish. Love that word, harmonious. Alright, that's smelling real good. We let that garlic and lemongrass cook out a little bit. Now we're just going to go in with the rest of our veg. We've got some carrot here. Got some fresh carrot. Again, you can't use the frozen veg all at home. I've used it. Nothing wrong with it. Alright. Green bean. Fresh is always better, but let this cook out a little bit. I don't add too much salt right now, if any, because the seasoning packs I use do have some salt in there, they do have some sugar in there. So I kind of wait a little bit, then I'll adjust after if I think I need it. So want to really let this come up, get nice and hot again. Yeah, we're going to go in with just a little bit more oil. Okay. Now at this point, I use 2 of these seasoning packs here. Again, this is has a nice porky flavor to it. But you can get on your grocery aisle, go with the dry spice. You know, if you're making pork fried rice, chicken fried rice, try and go something with chicken or pork in it, or you can do a combination of the two. I've always made the same amount of fried rice, and 2 packages of this mix always work great for me. Gives a nice flavor, gives a nice seasoning, gives a nice color. Oh, that's smelling so good right now. Again, if you don't have the seasoning, go with a little fish sauce, little soy sauce if you're using the two. Remember, they're both salty, so you got to be a little careful there. Fish sauce, soy sauce, a little bit of sugar. You're not making candied rice, so remember, go easy. What's that rule of thumb of cooking? You can always add more. You cannot take it back out. All right. So now, our 1-day-old rice. This is cold. You kind of got to break it up a little bit. I'm just going with our rice. Start giving that a little bit of a stir around. Just start combining it a little bit. Man, it does smell so good. I love these seasoning packs here. They're really nice for this. Tim tells me this is used for a certain dish, but I'm the only one in Vietnam that uses it to make fried rice, so I gotta be me. So I go in with one more seasoning pack. Again, I usually never have to add salt. It always tends to work perfect with these. I know you're not going to have these at home, so again, just go slow. Whatever seasonings you use. Now this is where the frying really comes in, because that rice is absorbing all those liquids down there. See that color turning? Yeah. You just really want to combine your rice really nice. Warm it through. If you overcook your rice, the day before when you're boiling it, then don't use it. Not for fried rice. Again, nothing worse than mushy fried rice. You can use brown rice. You can use legumes. You can use whatever you'd like. You can use a combination of things. It doesn't have to even be rice. It could be lentils. Make it the same way. Alright, now we're going to go in. The last thing I put in is the egg, because you don't want it to break down too much. I like to see chunks of egg in my fried rice. If you don't like egg, don't put it in. If you love egg, put 4 in. I use 2. Oh man. Yeah. So you're going to get that little bit of shininess. That is your oil. I know it's got some oil, it's got some fat, but we'll skip the bacon right there, that's all. So now we're just going to go in and check for the seasoning. Huh? Perfect. Perfect. That's why I do love that. Those 2 seasoning packs, they always work great for me. Oh, one more thing I am going to put in at the last minute. I had a little bit of green onion left over from the Bo Kho. Adds a little more freshness, a little more color, a little more pop. Okay, now we're going to show you how I like to plate it up, especially if you're having company. Put this with some nice pork chops, some nice pork ribs. Oh yeah. Just be careful, nice and hot, hot, hot. Here we go. Now we're going to garnish that up. Of course, I mean, I put this in my cornflakes, I gotta say. Not really, but you know. The crispy fried shallots. Actually, try these in a grilled cheese. Really good. So we're gonna get a little fancy for your company that might be coming in tonight. We'll give them a little chili pepper if they want to spice their life up. And there you have it. Boston Boys Vietnamese delicious fried rice. Well, we hope you enjoyed that little cooking class today. Some awesome Bo Kho. Real simple to make. Get into it, give it a try. Don't be intimidated. Simple fried rice. You can make that vegetarian too if you'd like. Love this beautiful Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City backdrop behind me. Real nice from my balcony. Remember to get out there and eat the world. And from Boston Boy, just want to say, Tam Bi. That would be bye in Vietnamese. See you soon.